about. I know you mentioned something about um, large groups and new people. Um, and I can't remember who told me that their son will get his gift. He can see his son. The son can see his gift before Christmas because he didn't like surprises.
You did mention that,
It
yeah.
wasn't your, it
It
wasn't
was
you, right?
not mine, no.
I can't remember who it was.
Although my family's bad at surprises too, so it wouldn't be the first time it happened.
Yeah. So I want to save that for a Christmas one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, so uh, you and I talked about uh, food, large groups. Not everybody wants a conventional gift, so don't react. And we may not
Right.
react in a conventional way. Um, um, so let's talk about Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Um, Before Thanksgiving and uh, during and the day after, you were saying
Yes.
a good day to debrief. So,
Recharge day, absolutely.
so even if we just have you do this right now,
Mhm.
or if I could find, other people. Um, so where do you want to start? Preparing to see large groups or
I think either preparing to see large groups or that like prep work on the side of the parent with like leading up to Thanksgiving because I think it's important a couple days before Thanksgiving to start planning for
right,
Thanksgiving.
exactly. So
Um,
prep for parents.
yes, so we always, especially me, I have a really hard time with large groups. So I very distinctly remember as a kid, like my mom sitting me down and explaining, we're gonna go to this person's house, we're gonna do this, this many people are gonna be there, or about this many people. Because I have a very large family.
Hmm.
Um, it's insanity how many people can fit in a house. But also and, like not only having that talk with me, but having the talk with the person who's hosting as well.
Okay. So sitting down, talking to Maddie before,
Yep.
and then uh, talking with the host.
Yes.
Okay.
And I remember her when I talked to her about it a couple years back. In terms of talking to the host, it was always two main questions of
Mhm.
is there a place for her to go if it gets overwhelming? And it was normally,
The
even though
coat
it's
room.
absolutely freezing outside, I always liked sitting on the front porch or the back porch of houses because the fresh air
Right. And no
is
real
vital.
obvious boundary. Hang on. Is
Right.
there a place for can go? So it's for calming, right?
Yes. Just a re-regulation space.
A re-regulation?
Yeah. That was what my mom always called it. Was like a re-regulation room.
Yeah. Okay. I like that.
And then she would also ask if there was a way that she could bring safe foods for me. Because until very recently, all Thanksgiving food was off the table except for mashed potatoes. That has changed. I have expanded horizons, but as a very young child, can I bring a cup of mac and cheese and make it in the microwave and no one be offended?
Yeah. So I guess it's because I get this, but it's like, why would someone say no?
I know.
You
I
know?
don't think she ever received a no, but
No, but
absolutely when you say it,
she was being thoughtful. She knew you, and she was preparing a safe place for you. I think that's pretty
yes.
cool. Okay, so we have the re-regulation space, safe food. You have some other?
Um, in in real time for Thanksgiving, it was very important to my mom that like I am very hyperlexic. I love to talk. Um, but that people understood that there were very clear boundaries about like physical space or um like a big thing in my family that I don't know if it's a big thing in other families was like clearing the plate in terms of wastefulness, which was never something that boded well with my body. So it was you can't, she listens to mom. If I tell her she doesn't have to finish everything that you put on her plate, you can't force her to eat. She will make herself throw up with no shame. Um,
Oh,
and so I think just that, not even hypervigilance, but just that, like, in real time looking out, like, she said no, she doesn't want to hug you, that's fine. Or no, she doesn't want to try the asparagus, do not force it into her mouth, which again,
yeah.
both of those things feel very like normal to you and me. But for a lot of families, it's, oh, I haven't seen you in 6 months. Come here, give me hugs. And I'm like, please don't touch me.
Yep.
So just that setting boundaries when I wasn't able to, because when you're a kid, you don't want to tell the adults no, and you don't want to disregard directions. But it was very important for my mom to be like, she has boundaries, she knows how to use her words, but if she doesn't, I will. Um, and that's something I have found works very well for me as a mom is my kid cannot communicate his wants right now or his needs outside of crying and screaming, but
Yeah.
I can see that he is uncomfortable and I can voice those opinions, and just continuing that even as they get older
Mhm.
takes some of that mental load off of the kid,
Yeah.
because I can say no, but that's hard when you're a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, safe foods, preparation, and then after Thanksgiving, that recharge time. Knowing what your kid likes to do to relax and giving them the space to do that the day after, whether they need to talk about what happened and like verbally debrief, or if they need to read a book. I would read for hours the day after holidays. I would just find a book and read it for hours because it didn't require any
Yeah.
social
Interaction. Yeah.
interaction.
Or
Or,
even a
you
person's
know,
voice.
exactly. Voices are a lot. My brother was always the type that the day after he would spend hours outside just riding his bike just to get out and get that fresh air and not have to talk to anyone. But finding that peace that your kid does to feel okay again and to re-regulate and to recharge, um and just giving them the place for that. I'm so grateful that holidays are only one day because man, I'm not doing 2 days.
And you have downtime between for
Yes,
the next one.
I know. It gets real dicey around Christmas because it's Christmas, and then 5 days later it's my birthday, and then the day after that it's New Year's Eve.
Is the 30th your birthday?
It is.
Okay.
So it gets real dicey that week. Which we're closed, so I'm excited. I can just read when I'm not at celebrations, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that's really important. That recharge time is so important, and a lot of people after holidays are like, we need to clean up, we need to get like things
Mhm.
done.
Get Christmas decoration.
Right, we're putting up the tree, we're hanging the lights. Give me till Sunday. Just give me a couple days.
I think that would be a really good one that would um, I think that would be a good after immediate after the decorations and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to uh, I'm recording this. I'll
Mhm.
edit it, and then I want you to hear it so you can hear what you talked about, and
Okay.
then I want you to create like a bullet point from it.
Okay.
Right? Because you did a great
Yeah.
job with this, and I don't know, maybe I should just use this, but uh, well, let's just keep talking.
Right,
Okay.
we'll just keep talking.
Okay. So I love the one time you said, there's going to be a lot of people there.
Mhm.
And when people come up to you and they know all about you and they want that hug or whatever,
Right.
and I don't know what happens. I think it just is overwhelming.
Right.
And then if you're not a hugger and someone hugs you, you
It's rough.
know, what was
It
that?
is. I said it can be rough.
Yeah.
especially just in terms of we've already talked about, reactions are not what people expect.
Yeah.
And so it might not even be like a visible reaction of discomfort. It might more so look like the kid stops talking a lot, or they need to leave the room, or they get a little shaky. Um, because it might not be that conventional, like, oh, don't touch me. Um,
Right. And I'm wondering if that could go under where the prep for parents
yeah,
is that, the mom can say, this is how Maddie is in this situation.
right.
I'm there. So, but it would help if you
Absolutely.
know that she doesn't like hugs. If not, if you're talking to her and she's looking like she's not listening, don't assume she's not listening.
Right, she's listening. Um,
Right?
and a lot of times she would do uh I don't remember exactly what she called it, but it was basically like a give and take. Like she's not a big fan of hugs, but you could try like a fist bump or a high five or like
Ah,
something similar that you still get that connection without making her uncomfortable.
fist bump. What was the first thing you said?
Or a high five.
A high five.
Those were always really big ones in my family, especially giving that alternative because you haven't seen that family in a long time and they are excited to see you. um and then maybe it's just me specific, to be fair. um but she would sometimes slip into conversation little things um that I liked, so that like the way that you do with most kids, like, oh, she's taking this class or she's doing
Yeah.
this thing, but my interests were always way out there. So she's like, you should ask her what she learned about the Titanic or like this new tornado she's been really interested in researching.
So conversation starters.
Yes. Because it was, like I said, I've come long strides as an adult, but as a kid, if you tried to ask me about something and I had nothing to say, we'd just sit there and awkwardly stare at each other. I didn't know how to bring up those conversation starters myself for a long time. And so they'd be like, so how are sports? And I'm like, I've never played a sport in my life. Thanks for asking.
Uh, I'm gonna write that down.
That those unconventional interests that a lot of times we find kids have, just, hey, maybe they're really into fire trucks. My son's obsessed with the trash truck right now. Every week we go out and watch and they beep the little horn for him.
Oh, yay.
He literally watches a show called Trash Truck on Netflix.
I have a friend who she's a single parent. She's Claire's age, and her son's on the spectrum. He loves trains, anything
Oh,
trains,
yes.
So um, and what's nice about trains is at least you have an idea of a Christmas kiss.
Yes. Well, at least we have some ideas. When your kid's really into tornadoes, there's not a whole lot to work with there. Can I get her the movie Twister? Is that okay? She's gonna point out all the inaccuracies, but sure, buy it for her.
Um, okay, so I'm just going to write down. We just touched on a Christmas thing. Uh, and it just reminded me about either asking that person or the parent, what
Mhm.
do you want for Christmas? Um, to be okay with whatever they say, and that goes to the sock story with me.
Absolutely, yes.
Um, so okay, let's keep thinking about Thanksgiving until
Absolutely.
until you get overwhelmed.
Yeah. Um, I'm
Okay,
thinking
so the different foods. There's like traveling. Like, is there?
traveling. We had the essence of a kid kit from like the babysitter club.
Mhm.
And it was filled with things that we were actually interested in, which didn't look like a normal kit that you would like give to a kid.
Yeah,
Mine always had books, but it would also have like fidgets in it. And I mean, fidgets didn't really exist, but they were
right.
fidgets. It would
Then
be
yeah, yeah.
things that I could play with, things that I could take apart. I've always been a fan of taking things apart. So like I remember the one year my grandpa took a block of wood and drilled holes through it and just had screws and like nuts and bolts, and I was able to just sit there and take it apart, pull all the screws out, put it back together, screw all the screws on. Um and as weird as that might sound to a lot of people, that like repetitive action while also being like a low lift mentally action didn't overload my brain the same way that like watching a movie in the car might have, or singing songs, or like toys that light up and make noise. Those really low intensity things that aren't going to elevate them and dysregulate them before they get there. Because if you're in a car and your toy is singing a song for 3 hours while you're driving, and then you walk into a room full of people, it's gonna be a meltdown. So I think it's really
It's
important.
almost like taking them out of a zone,
Yes,
you know.
absolutely.
I mean,
So
Claire
there's
would be like really mad at me if I interrupted her zone. What?
yeah. What are you doing? Give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna remove a child from the swing he's trying to climb out of.
Okay.
Oh, honey, I don't know what that was, but let's not do that again, okay? Yeah. Here, won't you play on the nice rug that I bought you? Fancy, fancy. Don't get in the dog water, I mean it. Anyways.
Is he crawling now?
Oh yeah, all over the
I mean,
place.
is he on the floor now?
Oh yes.
Okay.
Now he is. Yeah, you gonna come over here and stand up? Very exciting.
It is
Um,
exciting.
he
Wait
is.
till he's walking, girl. Your days are numbered.
Me and my husband both walked when we were 7 months old. I would prefer him to wait 3 to 4 months
3 months. Yeah.
minimum. You don't need to walk till you're a year. It's fine with me. I'll just carry you.
Okay. All right. So having a meltdown during the actual event.
Been there. I think it's very important. I don't know if my mom ever warned people that it was a possibility, or if it was just pure exposure,
Mhm.
that they just saw it happen enough that they were aware that it might happen. But that's where the re-regulation really comes into play, because it's important to have it to avoid those meltdowns, but it's also important to have it in the case of one, being able to step out, get your space. Um, and the key to like individualizing that is sitting down with your kid beforehand and what would help you. If this happens, what can I do to help you in that moment? So I mean, for me it was fairly simple. I needed out of the space, and I needed a good 5-10 minutes of basically silence.
Yeah.
But my brother was very different in that he needed to like run it off. He's
Mhm.
always been a very physical person, and so when he would get dysregulated, we would take him outside and he would run it off and
Mhm.
get rid of that. He always said it felt like it was bubbling up
Oh.
when he could feel the meltdown coming. It would bubble up and he needed to get it out,
Mhm.
or it was going to come out of his mouth.
Mhm.
And that was a lot of screaming. Um
What if you're, and I'm sure your mom probably said, if she has a meltdown, just let me handle it and you
yes,
help.
hands off. And she also, like I said, I don't know if she prepped anyone, but I think it was very interesting that like it wasn't made into a spectacle.
Yeah.
The room did not stop and stare at me while I was having a meltdown. If they
Mm.
were playing a game, they kept playing. If they were decorating cookies, they kept decorating. If there was a conversation, they just kept going. Because if everyone stopped and stared at me while I was having a meltdown, it took my recovery time from that 5 to 10 minutes to 15 to 20, and then you're just continuing to miss out on the party.
Yeah.
Um, so just not making it such a big deal, I think, was really,
Yeah.
really imperative, because no one likes to be stared at when they're having a terrible time. And it's very easy to, especially, if you're the akin of 5-year-old me with my hands going and my mouth going and my whole body just flailing. it was very easy, I'm sure, to pay attention, but my grandma was always, she'll figure it out. She'll figure it out. Give her a minute. And as I got older, they could see it happening and they wouldn't even intervene. They'd be like, she knows
Yeah,
to
what to
go
do.
outside for a couple minutes. She knows
Yeah.
how to re-regulate that. Um, if you do not stop trying to turn off my computer, I'm gonna beat you.
I want to see him. Hi, how are you?
He's just standing up.
You're such a sweet potato. Yes, you are.
I know.
I loved your Halloween costume.
You were so cute, weren't you?
Did you go trick or treating?
You got the candy?
Did you? Huh? And did you share your candy with mom and dad?
Say daddy stole all of it.
He did it.
He stole
Oh
all
my
of it.
goodness. Yes. So beautiful you are. Who does he keep
Ugh.
looking at?
He is stuck between wanting to get in the dog food, wanting to get in the dog water, and trying to watch his movie. And he can't make up his mind if he wants to be evil or not.
Does can you put the bowl up and the
Yeah, the problem is he's pulling up now and I don't have a whole lot of high surfaces. So he'll just pull up and pull it back down. But there I normally put him on the counter. But he was in his
yeah.
so I thought we were safe. Did you spill
No.
your bottle all over you? Wow.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
so excited. I
So
know.
precious. Yeah. Does he like that Miss Rachel?
He loves Miss Rachel.
You wonder what it is. What do you think it is about her?
When she made a video about it for parents, she was like, it's the voice. Goes, they can listen to you the exact same way if you raise your voice an octave and add a little sing song below it. And I
Okay.
tried it the one
Well,
day.
let's see you do it.
One try.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't do
Yeah.
it.
He's focused elsewhere.
Yeah.
I just
But
love watching the
the
TikTok
songs
where
especially, she's insane though. I love her. I
what are
was
you watching on PBS or
she just has a YouTube channel and I just put it on the big TV because
ah
I'm a really big proponent for like big screens, yes, little screens, no for babies.
yeah.
With my rug. So we do a lot of big screens, but we don't play anything on the little screens. But we put her up and we all sing together. And I think another really important thing is like not just turning her on and like walking away, but like as she's singing the songs, I'm standing in front of him still like singing the songs too and saying the words and doing the things.
Hmm.
Ugh, good times, huh? Okay, just walk away. That's fine.
Is he walking?
He's got my hands.
Okay.
And he thinks that he can walk, but then he just falls.
Mm. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, just not making a big deal out of it. I think especially the more holidays you do with a family and the more exposure, not only for the kid but for the family, the
Yeah.
easier those accommodations and those tips and tricks
Hmm.
help.
Hmm.
Um,
I
because
think
it
for one
becomes
thing, I think the host needs to ask the parent, how can we make this visit good? Yeah.
absolutely. I think that should be a standard question, irregardless, just
How
especially
can
for kids at
we
all. What can
make
we do to make this a safe place for your kid to celebrate?
okay.
Oh my goodness.
What?
There's drool on the file. What is gonna happen? This movie.
What movie is it?
It's Boss Baby.
Oh.
It, it's his favorite movie, and I think that's a little weird, but I've seen it upwards of 800 times now, so I can
I
just
have never seen it. Yeah, yeah.
it's crazy. I think he thinks he's the little baby spy. I really do. I think he's fully convinced that he's the baby spy.
The baby spy. Okay. All right. What else? Okay, we're talking about the
Absolutely not. I'm thinking. Yes, I will let you guys outside while I'm thinking. You're so evil. I love you. Goodbye.
What was that?
My dogs had to go outside.
Oh,
Crazies. So let's see. We went over foods, we went over so hosting wise. Um, Also a lot of people like to dress up for holidays.
oh, you mean like fancy
Like
clothes?
yeah, like fancy clothes. And my family is very much so the type to like gender it almost, like expect me to wear a dress. I don't wear dresses. Um, and so that was always a big point of contention, and that was probably the hardest thing for my mom is like explaining to them that I understand we all look very fancy. Maddie's absolutely going to be in a pair of jeans.
Yeah.
Every day of her life, she's going to wear a pair of jeans and a t-shirt, and she's going to look just fine in the pictures, and no one's going to notice because she's a child.
And she's in the pictures.
Exactly. She's in the pictures.
Yeah.
She's
If we can
there,
get,
she's
don't have to do
celebrating.
this. Or my brother would put his head up
That's
like this.
my
That's how
brother.
he would smile. So there came a time, and I can't put my hand on it right away, um, where Rodney, he was 50 when he passed away. So uh, we had Christmas dinner. I think it was
Hmm.
Christmas, or let me just double check here. See if I can find it for you. Um, I'm sorry, give me a second here. Pictures, Rodney. So do you have an iPhone?
I do.
Okay, I want to ask a question about iPhone. Um, I had one picture. Let's see, family pictures. No. Okay. Oh, so I hope we're not. Oh, okay. So Rodney, to get him to smile in the camera, it's always out like this
Right.
until Doug took this picture, and it's the first one I have of him actually smiling.
Ah,
And
that's a
I,
really good
yeah,
picture.
and I said, now I can die. I have a good picture of him.
She said, now I'm comfortable.
Okay, so that picture is of him being wondering what he's thinking. We always like, oh, I wish I knew what your brain was thinking right now.
Honestly,
Okay, how about people who force themselves to talk to you and they're just like
that's, I think, probably the hardest part as a parent or a caregiver in general is setting those
go
boundaries
against the
and just,
boundaries.
yeah, again with the boundaries. And in real time, I mean, my family is very old school in a lot of ways. And there's not a lot of like I was telling you last night, there's a lot of growth, but it's always in a way that doesn't like clinically make sense. Um,
Hmm.
and so especially when it came to like holiday traditions, if I didn't want to partake, it would be a very like forceful thing. And it took a lot of my mom, honestly, just voicing that and explaining why those things couldn't happen. It wasn't just no, don't touch her. It was
Mhm.
don't touch her because this.
Mhm.
Um and that reasoning I imagine constantly having to reason with people, and obviously over the years it got better, but initially that must have been so exhausting
Oh yeah.
to have to be hyper vigilant. But the way that my mom always explained it to people is the world is constantly overstimulating for Maddie.
Hmm.
She is constantly in, this hyper vigilant mode. And so if we need to take a couple extra hours on a particularly stressful day to make her more comfortable, it's not that we're, spoiling her or we're, giving her whatever she wants. We're making her, we're like meeting her where she's at. And that was so important because the world is incredibly overstimulating. It's not built for people like me. And so a lot of people think even now as an adult, the accommodations are like me being spoiled or too needy. And I'm trying to be where you are. I am trying
Oh
to,
yeah,
and
constantly.
I am trying to partake. I'm trying to do the traditions and eat the food and meet the people. and I need help. Um, and so I think with the forcefulness, a lot of it was that hypervigilance from my mom, but also giving your kids the tools, if they can manage them, to do those. You know, we'd be in the car and we'd be on our way there, and my mom would be like, and if you don't like something, what can you say?
Mm-hmm.
Or if someone does this and you're uncomfortable, you can come find me. If I'm not nearby, you can come to me. And really just having that like emergency plan for if something goes wrong. Um, and those cues. Because phrases were really big for me as a kid.
What
Uh,
kind of, what things?
like phrases, like,
Okay.
no, I don't like that, and having complete sentences versus like the open-ended, tell them no and why. The no and why always confused me because I didn't know why and I didn't know how to voice why. But saying like, no, I don't want to give you a hug, and just using that action, or the no, I don't want to try that food. Um, and giving your kid that autonomy and also that confidence that they're not going to get in trouble for saying no, that
Mm-hmm.
they're not going to, lose something or have a reaction from someone else for that no. My mom always told me, no is a complete sentence. You don't have to reason with people to be fair. Um, but I think especially in my family where it was very forceful, giving me that confidence that if you say no and someone doesn't like it, you can come tell me and I will tell them no again. And backing your kid up on that
Yeah.
is so huge. That confidence booster of I'm not wrong for needing this accommodation. And it really took a lot of the shame out of it. I have an ungodly amount of cousins. Like I said, my family is huge.
Yeah.
And so around Thanksgiving, the kids would be running everywhere and they'd be doing all the things. And um, I was very content to find a surface and read a book.
Yeah.
Um, and a lot of times the adults would be like, why don't you go play with them? And I'd be like, no, I would like to read my book. Um, and then, you'd get the offhanded comments, or like, I'm sure my mom fielded far more of them than I did. Um, but just like, why isn't she doing those things?
Mm-hmm.
Why does she do this? And just reasserting that confidence that it's not a shameful thing that I didn't want to go run with the kids or I
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to try those foods. I think around the holidays, it's so easy for people to feel othered for needing different things or for wanting different things. And I think it's important to remember that like holidays are about being included and feeling like you belong somewhere. And so it's really important to take that othering out of it. You're not different. Everyone's doing something a little different. Some people put the cranberry sauce on their food, some people put it on the side. We don't say anything to them for that.
Mm-hmm.
We shouldn't make the comments about the kid reading versus playing.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think just in general, that's a really important thing around holidays is I think my mom's phrase was mind your business, but
Or
we
she was
love it
thinking
that.
that probably often too.
I was like, she probably was thinking it fairly often, but just making kids feel that loved and that belonging where they are and meeting them where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and a lot of times for my mom, if it wasn't so much the saying something to someone so much as directing it towards me, great job reading, Maddie, or great job trying that new food, or I saw you had to step outside. That was awesome. Did you
Mm-hmm.
need to talk about it, or are you good to come back? um and really giving that autonomy back to me again of you're doing what you need to do, you're doing great, you're not making this holiday hard. I think a lot of times we feel like we're making the holiday hard needing those accommodations,
Mm-hmm.
and that reassurance that you're not, and that we would do this for anyone is really important.
You know, it's so interesting. Our worship pastor is African American. He has a um, mohawk, and I frankly like mohawks. I always have. But
Right,
anyway, but he was talking about, we're talking about worship and how different forms there are, and there are people like, I want to only sing hymns. I don't want to sing contemporary, Christian songs.
right.
And he basically said, worship is about God. It's not about you. And then,
Yes,
then he said, get over it. This song you may not like, but it might help someone else that's here. It's not about you.
it's
Get
not
over it.
hurting
And I
you.
was like, hallelujah. That's how I feel about, as we talk about this, I'm thinking sometimes it's like you want to say, get over it. I'm tired. I'm here. I got the family here
Right,
to help me be in this moment. I really don't want to always talk about Maddie and where she's out in school and all that kind of stuff. Maybe,
right.
let's talk about you as a mom.
Absolutely.
I would think parents would be exhausted before they even get the door of the place where it's happening.
Absolutely.
Last night, her name's going to escape me, but that young woman that was across the table from us,
Hmm.
um, she's a self-advocate, Marcy. And
Marcy, yeah.
right. So Marcy thought of an idea. She said, if you have a big family and there's someone at a certain Thanksgiving dinner that you don't like or don't get along with, find another family to go have Thanksgiving with.
Absolutely.
So it could be okay on that day after or 2 days after, even a parent can reflect and say, okay, that went well. Why did it go well? Just reflect because they need to get ready for Christmas because,
Yes.
everything is loud and
Gonna happen
busy and,
again.
you know,
Yeah,
um, so I think we've got some really good stuff here, don't you?
absolutely.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type up what we talked about, and
Hmm.
then you can fill it in, and then maybe you can give me a question. I think yours is going to be at least a half hour.
Yeah,
And
it's all right.
so,
We can talk.
right, right, right. No, but I mean, it's all good stuff. So maybe I'll say the letter Q, and then you can type the question, and I'll let you fill it in what else you want to talk about.
Okay.
Because it's good to have a guide like that, and I would like to do it like
Yes,
in an interview kind of thing, interview kind
absolutely.
of
That's what I
way.
was thinking would be really helpful is
Yeah,
having questions and yes.
yeah. And then um, so I'm going to rewatch this.
Hmm.
And do you want me to send you I'll put it on YouTube without,
That'd
uh,
be great. Yeah, I know that's the easiest way to do it, but
okay,
yes.
yeah. So I'll do that. I'll edit it first, Well, I don't need to do that. I would love to do this. When is Thanksgiving next week?
It is next. No, it's the week after. It's the last week for some reason this year.
That's called grace.
I know. It pushes it closer to Christmas, Deb. No, it next week is my last charting the life course class. But Thanksgiving's not till the 28th. So if we get it out next week,
What about like
great.
Wednesday?
Let me look. My calendar's on the wall. Oh my goodness. Ow. Yeah, so I have mm,
I'm wide open, so we could do whatever you want.
if we do it before my class that morning, so like 10 a.m., that would be really helpful.
What time's your class?
11.
That'll be helpful because you won't feel rushed.
Yes, because otherwise I'll sit all day thinking about it. And I get like anticipation paralysis.
Okay. Like so next Wednesday?
Yeah, we can do next
Does
Wednesday.
Wednesday a better day or
Wednesday's my busiest day next week. I don't have anything on Tuesday or Thursday if you have any time
but
those days.
what about Tuesday?
Yeah, Tuesday I am actually wide open.
Okay. What time do you want to do it?
Um, anytime really. Yeah, I know you probably have meetings that day more than I do.
Um, when do
I
you feel
have
like
your
you're
calendar.
at your best?
Mornings are normally where I have the most energy. Um, Afternoon is where I start
Look,
to slug
yeah,
along.
I hear you. How about like 10 o'clock?
Yeah,
Okay. All right. I'm really excited about this.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what? I've been getting some good feedback from people. Give
That's
me a second.
awesome.
Um,
Maybe my new glasses will be in.
so I was calling it for survival's sake.
I don't blame you. That sounds amazing.
Does it really?
It really does.
Okay,
Because
so
it's all about surviving at this point. Because I'm now a neurodivergent parent who's going into holidays. So I have to have it for me and I have to have it as a parent.
yeah, yeah.
We're
Okay,
surviving.
so you like survival's sake?
Yes,
For
that is,
survival's sake.
yeah, that's really great. That's clever.
Okay. So I wrote a little blip, just like, save the date kind of thing.
Hmm.
Holiday survival tips from people with lived experiences, such as parents, siblings, and people with developmental disabilities.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that that tracks.
And autism is considered a developmental disability, right?
Yeah, they're kind of between categories half the time, but most people throw it under developmental.
Okay. Just because the impact it has on
Yep.
development, right?
Yes.
So I am speaking the correct language here.
I believe so. Say it one more time, just the part
Okay.
with the disabilities.
All right. So let me see if I can. I'm going to share my screen real quick.
That'd be great.
And
I'm a
then you
visual
can,
person.
okay, share, there it is. Okay. Yeah, I'm visual. I got to see it.
Holiday tips. I'm just gonna go.
I don't have I have to change the bottom stuff.
That's okay. Let me think. Yes. Yeah, I think that's really great.
I always need editing, so I'm cool with whatever.
No, I think that's um
You know what I could do?
holiday survival tips from people with lived experience. Um, I feel like the middle part there is chunky, but I don't know how to fix it. I like the word
Which part?
I like the word the such as parents, siblings, and people, but I don't know how to chunk it down.
And persons with develop or
Mm, no, people's fine. I just let me read it one more time. Holiday survival tips. No, that sounds good. Yeah, because I don't know how else we would chunk that, but I really like how that sounds and like it's all encompassing.
yeah. So
I love
is it
Canva
really
too.
survival tips because you're also giving your personal stories. Oh,
Absolutely, yes.
survival tips from personal experience? No.
I like lived. I think that really
Right.
hits home on the fact that these are things that like
We
I
know
have
about.
lived through.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I think I love this for survival's sake. If you
I do
did
too.
stop blowing raspberries on my computer.
Okay, so my niece, her idea, she has two kids on the spectrum,
Hmm.
ages 12 and 8. Um,
Give me your
you know,
fingers.
other idea is having on their favorite movie, allow them to take breaks from opening gifts. Electronic
Hmm.
devices are okay. Chicken nuggets, pizza, goldfish cracker, craft mac and cheese, da da da. Check to
Yes.
ensure casual dress is okay. If there are activities out of the norm, get a list.
Yes.
Watch noise levels. If they're fascinated with liquids, put out bars of soap instead of liquid soap.
That is the smartest thing I've ever heard right there. I don't think anyone's ever thought of that, but oh my God, that's brilliant.
I think that's great too. Have their favorite treat and drink. So that was something she came up with. And let me just see one more here. Um,
Can I help you, sir?
okay, I'm going to close the share and just I'll have you just for a few more minutes. I know he's been
That's
very
all right. No, you're
patient.
fine.
Okay.
We are just here together. It's all, oh wow. Bye. Nice seeing you. Goodbye.
Okay, so um, I did get go online, do some research, um, planning activities, thinking of inclusion, give them a role. They could be the photographer.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that was that. Let's see.
Ah, ah. Caps lock does not need to be on. Thank you. I have to get him a drum set for Christmas because his favorite thing to do is hit things.
Yeah, put uh, towels under it, the things that was not so loud. It could drive you
Oh,
crazy.
that's smart.
Um,
Just gonna give you pots and pans at this point.
I thought we had. Oh, I just never wrote down those notes. Okay, so I had something where please assume that I am tired about the mother. Please just assume I am tired when I come.
Yes,
You
please
know,
just assume. I think, and I, like you said, I think it's really important um to not just talk about their kid with developmental disabilities.
Mhm.
Talk to me about normal things that anybody would talk about. Um, I don't need to constantly be in mom mode. I would love to talk about that Christmas movie that we watched 20 years ago that no one can remember the name of.
Uh,
Ugh. I don't think you really realize how much you've hit the lottery with me.
oh, he will love you. He may act like he doesn't when he's a teenager, but he'll love you. He'll know he's loved,
Yeah,
and um, just don't take him out.
right. Tell me about it.
Okay, so I will go on to this now. I'll
Okay.
cut out some of this stuff, and then you can be listening to it while I'm going to create a basic outline. So I should have the basic outline. I think what I'm going to do is listen to it and make sure I got the right notes,
Okay.
give you an outline, and then have you listen to it and change it.
Yeah.
Think of interview questions. So that open-ended question, how about,
Yeah, I think, and if we really chunk it into before, during, and after, we
mhm,
can kind of hit all the pieces.
okay. Are you willing to share uh, that you have autism?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
The
So,
more it helps people, the more I will continue to share it.
yeah, yep, it does. It gives people hope. Um, it's a lot of times when I work with parents of younger children, they're very busy. I mean, Claire was very busy. I told her I never looked up while she was in her early education because I was always looking for her.
Really? Yeah.
And that's something about safety. So let's add about the safety component. You know, can the front door be locked?
Yes.
Right?
Front door be locked? Can there like not be burning candles? Can we not, have access to the kitchen, especially with younger kids, touching the oven, touching the stove, touching hot burners? Um, I was pretty good about it, but my younger siblings were really bad about it. Outlets were touchy. Um, Anything in the kitchen really. Having like a designated place that the party is happening that's a big open, you know. Because I know one year we went and it was at a cousin's instead of my grandma's. And they had the kids in one room and the adults in a different
Oh my
room.
gosh.
That is the worst possible scenario. Kids are not as good at boundaries. And we're all being unsafe together.
Exactly.
It's Rugrat style, we're breaking out and gonna go find something to get into.
Hmm. That,
Um,
that was never repeated again, was it?
no, it wasn't. No, I believe after the walls got Sharpied, which Sharpie does not come off of anything, in case you were wondering. Um, and also several of the children got Sharpied, which that comes off with hand sanitizer, thankfully. but I know that one.
Yeah, when the kids are quiet, they're
That's
in
I've
trouble.
already hit that stage in motherhood where I'll be like in the kitchen and I look at my husband and I'm like, he's too quiet. I've got to go check on him. And
Yeah.
he's like in the dog water. I'm
Well,
like,
he'll probably love swimming.
there's a hope and a prayer.
Okay.
Oh,
All right. I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna,
absolutely.
I'm gonna